Welcome to Titans for Life with your hosts, Justin Dubo and Dean Mayrand. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Titans for Life podcast. This is the show where we help men become stronger in every area of life: fitness, family, finances, faith, and purpose. Today's guest is a husband, father, entrepreneur, endurance athlete, author, and one of the toughest men we've had the opportunity to sit down with. After chasing an Ironman finish line for nearly 30 years, James was diagnosed with stage 4 terminal cancer. Most men would have shut it down. Instead, he kept showing up, kept training, kept fighting, and ultimately discovered that the biggest battle wasn't physical, it was spiritual. His new book is called Just Keep Trying. And today, we're diving into the lessons he's learned about discipline, suffering, faith, purpose, and what it means to keep moving forward when life gives you every reason to quit. James, welcome to the Titans for Life podcast.
Thank you, Justin. Thank you, Dean. I appreciate your time. Thanks for having me on. Wonderful introduction. You make me sound, I'm like, you sure that sounds like me, huh? I did all that?
Yeah. To me, you're a superhuman. You just never quit and you line up with the message perfect. I can't wait to get started.
Thank you. Thank you.
So we'll start off with an easy one. We'll give you the softball. Who's James Logan today and what path brought you to this moment?
Well, the man I am today is not the man I was at age 59 and a half when I was diagnosed with stage 4 metastatic colorectal cancer. It was really in my rectum, not so much my colon. Had advanced directly into my liver, which is common in rectal cancer. It jumps over to the liver pretty quick. That's why a lot of people go undetected and go straight into stage 4. So there's no 1, 2, 3, no warning. You go right to terminal. Metastatic just means once it goes from one organ to another, that's metastatic, and there's no, once the toothpaste's out of the bottle, you can't put it back. Once it's out, it's out. And that's why it's considered terminal. And as we were just talking about earlier, it's 2.5 years in, basically. I was given 6 months, 2 years to live. I've done 24 chemotherapy sessions, 5 radiation treatments, and surgeries to include the removal of 40% of my colon, 60% of my liver, all of my gallbladder, all of my rectum, resulting in the ileostomy that I have and I'll compete with in Kona over the last 2 years, and continue to train for the Ironman triathlon. So, they said I was terminal, which is defined as the end. And as I look back over the previous 2 years, well beyond my life expectancy, according to them, it was anything but the end. It was just the beginning of so many wonderful things in my life, and I'm living a more meaningful, purposeful life now than I ever was before. So much so that I wouldn't trade my diagnosis. I wouldn't want to go back to who I was before. I'm too happy with the things I'm doing now, including my renewal of faith, renewal of relationships, a renewed sense of purpose. My life had become complacent, and I wasn't utilizing my God-given skills to the best of my ability, which I am now.
Oh, that's so incredible. And we just love hearing stories like that where it took something really shitty and dark to bring you
Yeah.
to the best part of your life, really. And I love hearing it. I can't wait to hear the rest of the story.
I would say I didn't land here immediately. I didn't walk out of the office going, I got this thing, all optimistic. I was bewildered, confused, disillusioned. The only thing I knew to do, I tried sitting on the couch. Well, first I got diagnosed in the first week of April. I had an Ironman scheduled in Texas the third week of April, so I went ahead and tried that. Chemo didn't start till May, and it was a good way to waste some time, but it was a miserable experience. And the only reason I signed up for another one is I didn't want my last race to be my last race. I wasn't happy with the way that went. So initially, in Ironman, the goal was the finish line, and that was always my goal. Once I got cancer and realized that things were a little bit more bleak, it became more about getting to the start line. This gave me something to do, gave me something to focus on. And as I explained to my wife, I tried sitting on the couch for about a week. It didn't really work for me. And then I just decided that I would keep trying. And I said to my wife, I said, cancer might kill me and chemo might kill me, but swimming, biking, and running, I'm pretty sure are not going to kill me. They haven't killed me over the previous decade. So I'm just going to keep doing what I've always done. And I really didn't want to make any massive changes in my life. I was happy the way it was. Other than a couple of areas, like I said, about 6 months in, I did Chattanooga 24, and that went equally miserable. I had lost 35 pounds, had a level 3 skin infection. Things were bleak. It looked like the doctor's scenario was playing out. I felt like I was dying. And that's when I surrendered to God and said, that's it. I can't handle this myself anymore. I accept my fate. I accept the fact that I'm going to die. And the only thing I prayed for was to die in a way that did the least harm to my family. And, I was at peace at that point. The next week we did a scan and hundreds of tumors had disappeared, opening up some surgical options that didn't exist before. And then the light bulb shifted in my head. To me, that was divine intervention. That was God giving me the green light to move in another direction. And I had promised a life of service from that point forward. I retired from my home inspection business, woke up the next day and thought, okay, big mouth, how are you going to fulfill this grand promise? Because I had no idea what to do. I wasn't looking good. I wasn't feeling good. And that's when I went to my wife and said, I think I'm going to write a book and I want to go to Kona. And she's like, okay, do you know how to write a book or how to get to Kona? I was like, no, I'm not sure how to do either.
Yeah.
But it's the power of just putting it out there, just starting with an idea. And the way your brain works, the way my brain works, I think the way the human brain works is once you start with an idea, you will subconsciously begin working on that solution. People ask me if I have a problem. I don't have problems. I only have solutions. So I move immediately from problem to solution. It just, it kind of snowballed. I started writing the book, took over a year, put a lot of time into it. And the same time, I was continuing to do Ironman triathlons. So I signed up to race with the Ironman Foundation, which is the charitable wing of the Ironman organization, for Ironman Florida in 25. And that's how I got to meet Audra, who's the executive director of the foundation. And we got to be a little bit friendly. She was impressed with my story and invited me to compete in Hawaii. So I decided to put the profits from the book toward my fundraising goal of $100,000. So this whole thing works out that I can write a book that maybe helps some people, lift some spirits, give some faith to the faithless, hope to the hopeless, prove anything's possible. Profits go into the foundation. They do great work all over the world. And hopefully go to Kona and fulfill my lifelong dream all at the same time. So the only issue I have is what I'm going to do on October 11th, because the last 2 years have been focused on October 10th.
Mhm. That's so cool. The divine intervention, the second chance at life, and the second
And
kick at the
it happened
can.
again just recently where, I entered 2026 with no evidence of disease. And I thought I would hopefully have a year of no cancer, no surgeries, no nonsense, and maybe get 9 months straight to train for Kona. For the first week of January, my ostomy prolapsed, meaning the intestines flopped out. They had to shove him back in. Basically, I went to the emergency room, figured they'd have to do a surgical option on it. And what they did is the doctor came in, put table sugar on it, shrunk it, and just shoved it back in. So
Oof.
for the last 5-6 months, that's what I've been doing. Because while I was in there getting that fixed, they did a scan and found 3 golf ball sized tumors on my liver. So the tumors had come back. I just did 6 rounds of chemo in the first part of the year, hardcore chemo that put 2 blood clots on my jugular, which hospitalized me. While I was in the hospital, wondering, how the heck am I going to make it to Kona? Everything's just going wrong. And as I was laying in bed doubting the plan, they came in and said, "You're no evidence of disease. The clots will clear up. We'll release you in a couple of days." And that's it. I went from complete despair to, a bright sunny day. And so now I try not to doubt the plan anymore. just go with it. As I said, a preacher said the other day, if God would send a plan, just email it to you every morning. Here's the plan for the day. A lot of people wouldn't get out of bed. It's like, I don't want to do that. I don't
Yeah.
like the plan. If I'd have known the plan for the last 2 years, I don't know if I would have got out of bed. I don't know. I think the 30 years of endurance training, I have written the book about the difference between, everyone's going to experience suffering and pain. There's an invited suffering and pain that you experience when you do difficult things like your workout this morning. You invited that pain for a reason. There's joy in the pain. There's meaning in the suffering. It's the admission to the gates of enlightenment. And if you don't know, you don't know, and I can't explain it. But through that process of experiencing the invited pain, I developed a toughness, a mental toughness that made me uniquely capable to face the greatest challenge in life, which was handling the uninvited pain of cancer and chemo and surgeries. And for me, it went from swim, bike, run to chemo, radiation, surgery. And I was, like I said, physically, mentally, mostly spiritually there, not 100%. But once that shift happened, I was like, okay, I'm all in. And the one Bible verse that I kind of leads me each day is Luke 6:34, which is, "Don't worry about tomorrow. Tomorrow will take care of itself. There's enough trouble in the day ahead." I have about 100 days, I think, to Kona. All I have to do is get my individual workouts done. and promote the book and raise funds for the charity. That's the only things I focus on 24/7.
Incredible story. It's inspirational.
Yeah, I'd like to step back and double click on your recommitment to faith. What did
Mhm.
that look like? What did that
Yeah.
transition look like?
So you can see I got my Jesus shirt on. Um, I was raised Catholic, so I never had a moment where I doubted Jesus or didn't believe in heaven. I drifted away from the church because the Catholic Church it just didn't feel right. You know what I mean? I don't know. It just, you drift away. And so I would describe myself as a faithful man. I've always worn a crucifix, a faithful man, but not a man full of faith, a faith of convenience, almost like a book on a shelf. You take it off when you need it, when I need it. It's a selfishness, but that's not the way faith works. You got to be all in.
Hmm.
100%. Uh, so that's when I decided to go all in and just leave everything in God's hands. And the minute I did that, I'm not worried about dying because I know where I'm going. So I'm not afraid of that day when it comes. What I'm worried about is not living to my full potential. And that's why now everything I do is designed around how many people can I impact in a positive way, what my story can do to help another person struggling with a terminal disease or death of a loved one. Or a lot of the people that read the book, everybody pulls something different out of it. So as long as I'm getting the feedback that I'm getting, I'm going to keep doing what I'm doing. I'm headed down the right path. So I'm going to keep moving down this path and see where it leads. It's exciting for me. Every day I wake up, I get to meet new people like you guys. I've done, probably 20 or 30 podcasts so far. I'm trying to do 100 before the race. So we'll see.
That's excellent. I think my next question, I'm going to go back to the Ironman portion of your life here. You've spent over 30 years chasing an Ironman finish line. What is it about that goal that's just kind of refused to let go of you?
I would say that, the Ironman was invented in 1978. I saw it the first time, like most people, on Wide World of Sports in 1982. I don't know if you remember the scene, but Julie Moss was leading the race, and on the finish line chute, she dehydrated, and her legs buckled and collapsed, and she was trying to crawl to the finish line. And it's one of these epic sports moments. And she got past and lost the race, but became epically famous for finishing the race in that condition. And that's what caught the world's attention. From there, it caught on fire, and it is what it is today. But that's where I was first inspired by it. But there were no organized races that you could go and do. It just started, and at that high level, you just couldn't put it together. So it was the thing about 1990 that they started doing more organized, smaller races, sprints, and that's when I got involved just as a weekend hobby. The hobby turned into an addiction, which turned into a lifestyle. But it started out with the smaller races, and I had gotten to a point in 2018. I was 55 years old, where the only race I hadn't done is the Ironman. I'd done century cycling. I'd done marathons, numerous, half marathons, half Ironmans. I've done all of them. The only one missing from the collection was the Ironman. So I decided to give that a shot. And in 2018, they canceled the swim in Chattanooga. So foolishly, I decided that the race didn't really matter much anymore, and ended up having a few beers with my brother and ended up being a little hungover the next day for the bike and the run. So I did the 116 mile bike ride in 7.5 hours, and my feet never touched the ground. I just wanted to get it over with. And I was coming out of this is in the book, actually. I was planning on not doing the marathon. I was like, it doesn't even matter. It doesn't count. It's just the swim isn't in, so I'll get it next time. I come out of the chute to tell my family that I'm going to, not do the marathon. I can barely say the word quit. And my son, 13 at the time, is down there going, Dad, you look great. You got this, Dad. So at that point, I had two choices. I could look at my 13-year-old son and say, Luke, when things get hard, us Logans quit. Or I could run a marathon, which is what I did. I ran a marathon. So I ended up doing the bike, doing the marathon. Ironman counts it as official, but it's not official to anybody who does Ironman because you didn't do the swim. Simple as that. Year after year, I went back, and year after year, I had different issues: overhydration, dehydration, COVID, and then cancer. I had 4 attempts with cancer that didn't go so well. So I've got 8 DNFs right now since 2018, and I plan to correct that on October 10th in the most grand location, Kona, Hawaii. And racing for the Ironman Foundation, writing the book, everything just feels like this is what I'm supposed to be doing. I can't tell you, like you said, just the more I lean into the faith, the more doors open, and I'm doing things now I could have never imagined. I think that when I look back on the first 59.5 years, it wasn't like I was a bad person, but I think I had become a bit complacent, which is easy to do. I'm approaching 60 years old. My business was going pretty much running itself. I didn't have to work real hard at that. My wife's doing well in real estate. My son's 21, well adjusted. Things are good, and you naturally relax. even though I wouldn't say I was lazy, but I wasn't using my full potential to its, fullest like I am now. And I had become complacent, and I'm thankful to cancer for waking me up and reinvigorating my zest for life, my zest for people. My relationships were good before, but they're better now. I think the one thing I thank cancer for the most is time. Cancer gave me time, and time gives you opportunities. What you do with that is up to you, and this is what I'm doing. So the first thing I did was go to my wife, to my son, and have those conversations to make sure they understand how much they mean to me. Same thing in my marriage. I had become complacent after 30 years, maybe not letting my wife know as much and as often as I should how important she is. But we've become closer, my entire family. Very humbling to realize how many friends I've developed over the decades and the support that I've had through this whole process. When it comes to fighting cancer, I think it's not one thing, it's everything. So I've got a great support system. I'm healthy and fit, spiritually, physically, mentally. I've got great insurance, great doctors. And so everything's playing in my favor right now. And right now, I'm no evidence of disease. So I don't want to get cocky here, but right now I'm winning.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you had mentioned that family life was good before your diagnosis, and you had everything going. There was really no rock bottom. Justin and I both came from very similar places, and I guess the message to our listeners is don't let something dark and bleak happen to wake you up, right? You can look in the mirror at any time and raise your awareness and change your trajectory.
Yeah, I actually do that. I talk to myself in the mirror and I tell people to do it to hold yourself accountable. If you say you're going to do something, I don't have to worry about accountability anymore because when you feel like your window of opportunity is short, I get one shot at Kona. I'm not missing workouts unless I have to. When people
Hmm.
say they have to work out, I said, no, you get to. It's a privilege. Be lucky that you can do it because there'll come a day you can't. And that's a sad day. I've seen it before where people keep saying, I got to get back in shape. I got to get back in shape. Then they have a heart attack and now you're not allowed to get back in shape. Now you can't do these things that we all love to do.
100%.
I'm fortunate in the sense that the cancer I have has allowed me to continue to pursue my passion, which is triathlon. For other people, and it doesn't have to be fitness. Fitness is our venue, but others could be pickleball, it could be walking, it could be a chess club, gardening, whatever your passion is. And lots of people have asked me many, many years, and I never had a good answer for it. Why do you do Ironman? And then over the years, I've kind of figured it out. It's pretty simple. It's because I love it. And that's what people do. You do what you love. And if you don't love it, you're not going to keep it up for very long. That's why these fad diets and fad gyms and fad workout programs never stick. You get bored, the body gets used to it, and you don't want to do it anymore. It may be effective, but you don't have any passion for it. You're not going to keep doing it. Nobody would do Ironman unless they absolutely loved it. It's just too grueling.
Yep.
Yeah, it's that ultimate challenge, right? That ultimate pursuit through the grind of the physical turmoil of
Yeah.
the exercise, right? Like it's all shitty. Like none of it's fun. It's all like this mental warfare with yourself.
Yeah. It's all shitty until you cross that line and then it's great.
Exactly.
It means nothing until it means everything. And I like to say that the pain and suffering that's the price of admission through the gates of enlightenment. And people are like, what are you talking about? It's like, you got to go there to know. I'm sorry if you've never been to that hard place where you had to push through and you did, and you surprised yourself with what you're capable of. And then you begin to wonder, what else can I do? And I'm proving it again because at my darkest moment, I was on death's door. I surrendered to God. I declared I'm going to write a book and go to Kona, and here I go, doing both, just like that. So, a lot of people say, my prayers aren't being answered. I say, well, are you doing the work? I can't just pray for something, go sit on the couch and wait for the answer. It's not Amazon. You
Hmm.
have to get up and do the work. And the best analogy that I've heard that I like is God makes sure all the birds get worms, but he doesn't drop them in their nest. You
Yeah.
have to fly out and forage for those worms and look for them. So opportunities and for me, I had wondered, and I had mentioned the blood clots just recently, and I wouldn't say I doubted faith. I was doubting the plan. I just didn't understand the plan, and that's the way it is a lot of times. So, but now the faith is renewed once again because I got no evidence of disease, and then it hit me all at once that by the time I get to Kona, will be 30 months since my diagnosis, and all that I've been through, all the pain, all the suffering, all the chemo, all that 17 hours on a course, swimming, biking, and running. There's nothing you can do to me in 17 hours that will match the 30 months of things that I've just been through. So all these things that I've been through were not meant to prevent me from achieving my goal. They were meant to prepare me. I'm stronger now than I've ever been. There's no race on earth that can match what I've already been through. So I made that mind shift is like, these aren't obstacles. These are opportunities to be more prepared. And if you look at that in your life, whatever tragedy befalls you, there's a way to learn and grow from it. And that's really the essence of life, is to turn tragedy to triumph. Regardless of how bad the tragedy is, that's what you have to do.
Yeah, you're right.
I don't get to choose how I die. I do get to choose how I live, which is choosing how I die.
Yeah.
If you think about it, so.
Oh, that's a great analogy for sure. I like how you kind of mentioned the God helps those who help themselves kind of portion of the story to it.
And you have to be aware too. So sometimes your prayers are being answered and you don't even know it. I'm praying for an easy ride to Kona and I'm getting all this chemo and blood clots and things. It's like, that's exactly what I needed. Not only did I do all the training throughout the chemo over the last 6 months, I did all the training. I struggled through it with my intestines hanging out and shoving them back in. And it was a mess. And I just kept telling myself, if you can't do this, you can't do Kona. But it's all in preparation. So nothing can happen on race day that will match the 30 months leading up to race day, which goes back to what's more important. How important is the finish line? Well, if you look at an Ironman training program, this one in particular for me, I had 10 months to train, which is 40 weeks, maybe 10 sessions a week. So 400 sessions over 40 weeks. And then you have one race day. Are you telling me that the one day is more important than the 40 weeks of work you just put in? The money's already in the bank. The cake's already baked. No one could take that away from you. Now, yes, race day is important, but it's more of a coronation. All the benefits, you've already got them. And that's what I realized is the journey. There is no destination for me other than the destination of heaven. Life is the journey. There's no destination on earth that I'm really looking to get to.
Yeah, our slogan is the grind is the gold, which basically means the pursuit is the destination, right?
Yeah.
Every day pursuing a better version of yourself, the pursuit is the destination.
I have a way of saying it as well, because most of my life I was in pursuit of happiness when I realized happiness is in the pursuit. When you're after a lofty goal, something difficult, maybe something just out of reach, that's when you're happiest. I'm excited to get up every day and see what's next and keep continuing to chase these goals. And a lot of these things seem just out of reach. Raising money is difficult. Training for Ironman's difficult. Fighting cancer is difficult. But difficult things can be really rewarding. And I think I can do it all. So we'll see if it all comes together. I'll be thrilled. I have no doubt that if I just keep working hard and doing what I need to do each day, that one thing will lead to another.
I believe you're going to get there too. There's this kind of aura or exuberance around you when we talk. Like I can feel this energy that I haven't felt with
Ooh,
another guest. Like,
that's cool. I just got tingly bumps as you said that. I just got
yeah,
all through my body, literally from my head to down to through my spine. I
yeah,
appreciate that. I appreciate it. Yeah, I feel like I'm on a mission for sure. People think I was born this way or that I wake up this way. It's just like anything. Optimism and faith and discipline are things you have to work on every day. They have to be renewed daily, if not hourly. And I have my moments of doubt. I have my moments where I'm not quite where I'm supposed to be, but I usually shake myself back into line pretty quickly.
yeah. I think it's normal to have moments like that. And Dean can probably speak to this more, but both of us have been in that situation before.
That unwavering conviction is where we want to be, which is where you are right now. And I could just back Justin up. We can hear it in your voice, right? And it is a challenge to stay there, but you develop these little habits to keep you there,
Right.
right? So you win every day through your habits, and then
Yeah.
keep your mental resilience and capacity high.
I think a lot of where the struggle is, I think most people know what to do, when it comes to fitness and nutrition, but consistency seems to be the biggest struggle. I think most people have. They do something, it works for a little while, and then they drift away from it. That's the hardest part, is being consistent over a long period of time.
Yeah, 100%. Hey guys, quick pause to talk about a brand I actually use and trust, Prestige Labs. When it comes to supplements, I don't mess around with hype or garbage ingredients. Prestige Labs focuses on clean, third party tested products that actually support performance and recovery. I personally use their creatine for strength and output, protein powder to hit my daily intake, and their cravings crusher at night to stay disciplined and avoid late night snacking. If you're training hard and want supplements that support your work instead of working against you, check them out. You can find the link in the show notes. and on our Instagram page under the Linktree link. And as always, this isn't medical advice, just real tools for men putting in real work. So 2 weeks after your diagnosis, you still showed up to that race. Looking back, what was driving that decision?
I was disillusioned and bewildered, and this would be a good distraction. I don't like to fly, so we drove, take a nice road trip with my wife. We could really have some discussions about the new situation. Initially it was very, very difficult. I walked out of the diagnosis and sat on a park bench for probably 45 minutes, just completely in shock and really wondering what to do next. And my first thought was, what do I tell my wife? What do I tell my son? And I was about 3 miles from my house. So I drove home, saw my son first, and told him. I was a bit more stoic. I didn't want to scare him. So it was a little easier for me to tell him and, kind of let him know that, we're going to do whatever we need to do. And, don't worry about it right now. When my wife came home, I lost the ability to speak. I couldn't formulate words. I could not tell her that, the future was going to be a little different than what we had expected. And it was emotional, the most emotional I've probably ever been in my life. I, I couldn't speak, and I even get emotional now just thinking about it. But, over the years, we've come to a point of acceptance. Nobody really knows how long they get to live, but we're happy that we had this opportunity to have these conversations. I could have died of a heart attack, and then these things are left unsaid and undone. But kind of funny, we actually talked about me doing my own eulogy or even having a funeral before I die so I could be there. So,
Wow.
yeah. But yeah, people die and they're like, oh, I wish I had one more conversation. There's things I wanted to say. That's why, writing the book initially, I did it as I entered into the cancer world, cancer centers and infusion rooms, heavy mood, despair, hopelessness, and a lot of people in some really rough shape. And you could tell that they're not handling things well mentally. So I thought I'd write the book to hopefully, lean some people to get more into their faith, give faith to the faithless, hope to the hopeless, and share some of my philosophies and see if maybe that could lift a few spirits. And they said, so far, so good. But when I wrote the book, that was the purpose. And what ended up happening is, like a lot of things, I think I got more out of writing the book than anyone will reading it, as it was kind of therapy for me through all the treatments.
Yeah, I got to skim through the book there. I read about 3/4 of it, and the inspiration it gave me to kind of open my eyes and realize that maybe there's not much time left for me. Like it could happen at any moment.
You don't know. And if it's a good conversation to have. If you were to die suddenly, does your wife know what to do? Will she be able to stay in the same house? Can the kids go to the same school? Are we ready for something like that? That's a good conversation to have. Fortunately, I was as ready as you can be, I guess, with
Yeah.
insurances and things like that, so we don't have to stress in that area. But it's a difficult conversation nobody wants to have. But if you were to die suddenly, what would be left undone, and then go fix those things so that doesn't happen. And you're right, Dean, you were right before. One of the main messages that I wanted to get across is what you had said earlier. You don't have to wait. All the lessons in the book, everything we're talking about, you can do without having cancer. You don't have to wait to that moment to reevaluate yourself and look at things and see them. Ask yourself a simple question. If you had 2 years to live, would it change the way you live the next 2 years? And if it would, then do those things.
100%.
It takes some pretty intentional transparency, right? To get from average to, where you are now, for example, the enlightenment. It takes some pretty intentional honesty with yourself.
So yeah, it's taken a couple of years. And, the two things that I would say before cancer was I was complacent and arrogant. I lacked humility. But what I used to say jokingly, and it really wasn't a joke, was I definitely lack humility, but I make up for it with overconfidence. I was joking, but it was true. And I'm a much more humble guy now than I was before. And it's really opened up my relationships in a way that's so much more meaningful. Like I said, I'm an open book. I've cried more in the last 2 years than I probably did in the first 59. Most of the time, tears of happiness, believe it or not. I'm not crying because I'm sad. I'm crying because I'm so freaking happy. So much so that, like I said, I wouldn't trade my cancer diagnosis. The worst thing that could happen to me, that I lived the rest of my life in that complacent nature. I used an analogy in the book, and I'll share it with you. I looked at my life as a football game, 4 quarters, and each quarter would represent 20 years of a life. And I was in the third quarter, about coming into the fourth quarter, 60 years old. If I lived to be 80, I thought that would be good. So I'm entering the fourth quarter. We're way ahead in the score. I got all my timeouts. We've got the ball. Everything's looking good. And then, I go see the doctor, and now it's under 2 minutes. I have no timeouts. I need a touchdown and a 2-point conversion. It's a hurry up offense. So, what I would express to people is if you don't have any urgency in your life, go get some. You may not, that destination, that thing that you're thinking will be there tomorrow, the next day may not be. So don't leave things undone. And I think, like I said, happiness is in the pursuit. So if you have passion that you're pursuing, you'll be generally a happy person. A lot of the kids today, you see the youngins, they don't have any pursuits. They don't have any passions, and they wonder why. You go to the doctor, they give them some pills and think that's going to work. It's not going to work. I said, give them to me for a couple of weeks. I'll put them on a bike. We'll get them out there swimming, get them breathing some fresh air, maybe put a little sun on your face and see if things don't turn around a little bit.
Yeah, I truly believe that helps depression the most is having a purpose and being able to get out in nature.
At
And
every rehab clinic, if I ran rehab clinics, you'd be doing PT morning,
yeah,
noon, and night. Get addicted to something else. I have an extreme personality, and I probably could have went that direction. I don't call it an addictive personality. I call it an extreme personality. So pick things that are, good to be extreme at.
Yeah, exactly.
yeah, you want to 100% whole ass one thing instead of half ass in two or three, right? Like that's just part of our personality too. If we're going to do something, we're going to do it right and do it to the end.
Yeah, it's like when I realized there's a poem that I like. I think the guy's name is Dylan. He's the poem, I will not go quietly into that good night. I will rage against the dying of the light. I will, I say, if I die, I'll die trying. And if I die on the swim, I'll die with a grin. If I die on the bike, I'll die doing something I like. If I die on the run, well, I was having some fun.
Wow. I like that.
I really do like that too. Hey, fellow Titans. Just wanted to pause quick and mention that this episode today is sponsored by our own Titans for Life hydration pack. And listen, this isn't complicated. If you're training, hiking, biking, walking, coaching, working outside, or doing anything where you're sweating and moving for more than 5 minutes, you need to stay hydrated. This pack is simple, rugged, and useful. It has a 2-liter water bladder, adjustable straps, breathable back support, and enough of that tactical Titans feel without being overbuilt or goofy. It's the kind of thing you throw on and go. So if you want to support the podcast and grab a solid piece of gear at the same time, search Titans for Life Hydration Pack on Amazon or use the link in the show notes. Now, back to the show. After that diagnosis, you described being pulled off the course in Texas as the drive of shame. What did that moment teach you about yourself?
Man, it was fresh after the diagnosis. I wasn't on chemo yet. I was really feeling pretty horrible just physically. And it was just another so-called nail in the coffin, just another reinforcing fact that I'm falling apart, that I'm dying, I'm not getting better, I'm getting worse. And it just reinforced that terminal diagnosis, and it was heavy. I had to sit in the back seat by myself, and it was lonely, and it was not the way, you want to go back to the paddock. So yeah, it was a mixture of emotions, none of them any good. And like I said, the guy I am today, not the guy I was then. I was a broken man. And before I had that moment of humility and surrender, I was about as broken as you could get. There was no more cockiness. There was no more overconfidence.
Mhm.
I was dying. I was a dying man, basically. So, but I feel like I was reborn in so many ways, and now I'm doing more than I ever was before. So I've kind of got that part figured out a little bit, like how to spend my time. And so many people seem inspired by it. A lot of people are liking the book. People are liking what I'm doing. So I'm just going to keep doing it. I'm getting more out of it than I'm giving. So that's been the greatest reward.
Absolutely.
Just like being a coach, I think coaching people is one of the greatest things you can do. If you use your experience, your knowledge to inspire and motivate and lift other people up, and then you see them actually improving, that's what greater reward is there.
I don't think there is one.
I really just love your perception on being grateful for the diagnosis, because when you can do that, there's so much liberation in that in your life, and it drastically changes how you go through every single day, right?
Yeah. Well, cancer, like I said, gave me time, which gave me opportunities, which give me things I'm doing now, which I never thought I'd be doing. I wouldn't be in Kona if not for cancer. So thank you, cancer, for getting me into this race. I really appreciate it.
Mhm.
You try to negotiate with cancer. You're like, oh man, could you just stay away for like 3 months? I swear, on October 11th, you can wreak havoc on my entire body. But, you know, when I look at the last 5, 6 months and all the things that I went through, it's hard to imagine I'm going to go through the next 3 months and not have any kind of trouble. I am going back on chemo this next coming Monday, just to half dose, just to try to keep the tumors from coming back. And I'll probably voluntarily go off chemo in September in preparation for Kona, so that I don't have the lingering effects of the chemotherapy, which the effects of the chemo are pretty cumulative. Some people can handle chemo, some people can't. I apparently have a ability to handle a lot of chemo, so that's been good,
Mm.
and that my body's responded well to it. So when I do chemo, it kills the cancer pretty good. But then as soon as I stop doing it, it comes back. So that's the battle, the dance back and forth between the two. My life and death race with cancer, and then my earthly race with Kona, and then my attempt to raise the money for the foundation. Those are my three challenges.
Let's dive into the book a little bit. Your book
Okay.
revolves around the DSSP formula: discipline, sacrifice, suffering, and pain.
Yep.
Why do you believe these four things are essential ingredients for growth?
DSSP. I think I had lived that lifestyle for most of my life, but I had not defined it until I decided to write the book. I've been self-employed my whole life, so and I'm usually work for myself by myself. So if something needs to be done, I have to do it or it doesn't get done. So I've learned to do little things, big things, and really everything's a little thing. Nobody does a big thing. You do a series of little things that lead to a big thing. But if you don't have discipline, you can throw the other three away. It's not going to matter. Um, but if you have discipline, you can execute a plan. If you're going to execute a plan, you're going to have to make some sacrifices. If you're willing to do those things, and you're willing to endure some suffering and pain, which is inevitable, whether you do a triathlon or sit on the couch, we're all going to endure suffering and pain at some point. Then you can be successful at anything you apply those simple principles to.
I believe in that 100% too. To be able to push through that suffering, you teach yourself a level of mental toughness. And then after that, anything's possible.
Yeah, there's joy. And that's the Ironman motto, by the way. Anything is possible. I say there's joy in pain, there's meaning in suffering. And I describe the difference. I have get a little philosophical about pain and suffering because it's been so meaningful to me. Pain to me is something that you can point at. You break your arm and you go, my bone is broken right here. It hurts right here. And it's more temporary. Suffering is something that's like more like an overall, like when someone dies, you have grief and you can't point at it, but you feel it heavy in your entire body. That's suffering to me. Pain is more, you fall off your bike and scrape your leg, it hurts, your leg is hurt. You can point at it and define it. Whereas suffering to me is more like an overall, you can't point at it and you can't really get rid of it. You can't medicate it. Pain can be medicated and treated. Suffering is just something you have to endure. So the two they're bookends. You can't really have one without the other. A lot of times they come together. Obviously they do. Yeah, but they go all the way back to the Stoics. I mean, I don't think we're saying anything that hasn't been said for thousands of years,
Yeah,
but you say it different ways and people take it different ways. But, if somebody gets something out of it, that's the whole point.
absolutely.
No, that was a great way to explain it. I've never heard it said like that. But again, you say it a certain way and different people can grab onto it, right?
Right. Yeah. Everybody hears it differently and maybe they pick something up, that can help them in some way, shape, or form. It's hard to encourage people to seek out suffering and pain, but it's human nature to avoid it. And especially in our society today, where I don't know about you guys, but I've never called Uber Eats to drive fast food to my house. A $50 cheeseburger? I don't think so. First of all, just the money. I'll get in my car and drive over there. The other thing I do is I don't go through drive-throughs. I park the car, I walk in, I sit out, I eat. I don't take my food through a window anymore. So although Chick-fil-A, you guys are up in Canada, Chick-fil-A down here, and that's all anyone does is they line up in the drive-through for chicken. So,
Yeah, we've got Chick-fil-A up here now too.
oh,
Just
cool.
haven't had the opportunity to go try it yet. I think it's in Edmonton and we live in a very small community, quite a
Yeah,
bit
if you get
north
an
there. So
opportunity, it's pretty good. It's pretty simple, but it's pretty good. So, yeah, they started down here. Mr. Hewitt. Yeah, they don't open on Sundays. So, but yeah, we love our Chick-fil-A.
yeah, I have to make it my next cheat meal if I'm in Edmonton. That's where I'm going to stop.
You get the grilled chicken, you don't even have to
Yeah,
cheat.
that's true. There's grilled nuggets. I've seen those
Yeah,
videos.
yeah, they're really, really good.
When I played pro hockey for the Amarillo Rowlers, we could eat Chick-fil-A for free every single day.
Oh
That was
man.
part of the sponsorship.
breakfast, lunch, and dinner.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How much weight did you gain in season on that one? Do you know?
I didn't. I didn't eat there very
Did it?
long.
Oh, okay.
You didn't take
Just checking.
advantage of it. Didn't take advantage.
So most people spend their lives trying to avoid suffering
Yeah.
when suffering often becomes the thing that transforms us. Why is that?
It's almost like I think I see it as like a transcendental meditation where, you go through the suffering and pain, and then at some point you enter into another plateau, another mental space where you're kind of all by yourself. And I think that's the thing that I like is it happens in an Ironman race. So the worst time in a race is the hours leading up to it, because there's a lot for me. I don't get anxiety, but I do before a race when I just want to go. I'm tired of all the preparation. I'm tired of waiting. Been up since 4 o'clock in the morning. I want to get in the water. But as soon as they hit that cannon, all thoughts, everything goes away, and you're focused on the thing that's directly in front of you, the swim, then the bike. Then when it gets hard, you go to a whole nother place in your mind. It's not unusual in an Ironman for me to be crying hysterically one minute and laughing hysterically the next, almost like a crazy person. And the only way to get to this plateau is to go through that pain. You kind of see it like those people like in Arizona, maybe you've ever seen, where they all sit in a tent and they sweat and I mean, they might even take some drugs or something to get to this other place where through pain and suffering, you enter another plateau where you become more enlightened. You learn things about yourself that you can't learn any other way. And if you haven't been there, then it's hard to explain. But you have to go through it. David Goggins talks about going through it. A lot of people reach a point in suffering and pain and they stop. You'll never know. There's another side to it. You have to go through to the other side. Once you've experienced the benefits of that, you'll go back again and again. It's a joke in the Ironman world, like in a lot of sports worlds. You finish an Ironman, a difficult race, you swear at that point you'll never do it again. And a day, two, maybe a week, you're signing up for another one because you want to go back to that place that you can only get to, through the pain and suffering. And it takes 7 or 8 or 9 or 10 hours to get there. So, but you have to do all that preliminary to get to that deep, dark place to learn what you're capable of.
Yeah, that's just it. You're teaching yourself. You're teaching yourself. You're defying odds primarily, and then teaching yourself that you can do hard things. So that's the win, right? That's the lesson. Like you said, you can't get there until you go through that
Right.
frickin' 7 or 8 hours in that
To that
shit.
place.
Like, it doesn't come from, a half an hour walk around the block or a bike ride. Like, you have to drag yourself through the shit to really get there.
Yeah, like a lot of people say they do Ironman or do these sort of things to find their limit, but usually it's to find what's beyond the limit, because your body will do whatever your mind tells it to. And then the question is, how strong is your mind? And you'll surprise yourself. You surprise yourself. I always tell people to set your goals higher than your ability to achieve them, because you'll surprise yourself along the way. The last couple of goals that I set, go to Kona for the World Championship and write a book. I still have to go to Kona, but the book is out, so that's done. So what's next? You develop this confidence that if it really is true that you can do whatever you set your mind to, then what do you set your mind to? And that's kind of a mind-blowing thing. That's why I don't know what I'm going to do on October 11th, but I'm pretty sure something will come to me.
Mhm.
I have an idea something will come to me.
I'm pretty sure it's going to be epic.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Yeah. Something will come to me. You just got to, like I said, sometimes you got to keep your eyes open for the opportunities and go out of your way to communicate with people and talk to people, because you never know. God might put someone in your path. If you don't stop to say hello, they go right past you.
Put yourself out there. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's exactly what I've been doing. So really enjoying meeting all the people that I'm meeting, like-minded fellas like yourself, all over the world. So that's been really rewarding for me as well.
We find that rewarding as well. It's so cool to talk to people that can inspire you in different ways. And it's
Yeah.
been a really cool journey for us too. We can't say that enough. You've reached a point where you've completely surrendered everything to God. What changed after that moment for you?
Well, I never understood being born again, but now I do, because I was definitely born again in that moment. I'm not the same guy as I was before. There's moments in your life where that's true. So when I married my wife, that was one of those moments where I'd never be the guy I was before. Now I'm a husband. When my son was born, now I'm a father. Cancer brought this realization, and this renewal of faith and being born again and just having a clean and a fresh start. Like I said, I surrendered to God, begged for forgiveness, and all I cared about was getting into heaven. I didn't pray for cure or more life or any of that stuff. Like I said, just that I would die in a way that did the least harm to my family. And sure enough, after that, that's when God said, okay, well, maybe we'll keep you around a little while longer. So I think as long as I'm useful, keep me around. It was just an epic moment, one of those moments in life that is just a turning point for me. I mean, I'm mostly the same, but I'm completely different. So, like I said, I was always an optimistic guy. I always had these traits and these characteristics. Even before I had cancer, I was pretty much the same. Now I would say it's just like times 10. I feel like I have more of a purpose to share my ideas, my thoughts, philosophies, my experiences with people and see if I can feel, like I said, I feel compelled to see how many people I can impact in a positive way. And as long as that's the case, I'll keep doing what I'm doing.
You're doing a great job.
Thank you, Dean. I appreciate it.
Such a great message. Do you think modern men struggle with surrendering because we've been taught we have to carry everything on our own? Like we always have to bottle everything up inside?
Absolutely. The fearless leader, it was hard for me to humble myself to my wife and let her just take care of me, but that's been one of the most rewarding things. If you don't let the people that love you take care of you, you're taking something away from them because they're just as hurt. They may be more hurt watching me go through what I'm going through than me having to go through it. So letting people help you, that was hard for me. I'm the one that helps people. I don't need help.
Yeah.
So it was a big turnaround, but it also a gift at the same time. So just the relationships got that much stronger. I let my son drive me around. Like I said, what am I complaining about? If I want a turkey sandwich, my wife will run and get it for me. Is like, this is actually pretty good, so I can get used to that.
One of the most powerful ideas in your book is that cancer shook the snow globe of your life and woke you up from complacency. How many men do you think are asleep right now?
Many, many, because, we live in a pretty affluent community. I don't consider myself wealthy by any means, but I think compared to most people in the country and especially around the world, I live in one of the most affluent counties in Georgia, north of Atlanta. It's not unusual to see Bentleys and Bugattis and Ferraris and exotic cars all over the place, multi-million dollar homes. So we have it pretty easy. Like especially with the work from home stuff now, it's easy to fall into a complacency because, life is getting easier. We have more conveniences. The cars are nicer, everything, there's more stuff on TV, there's more stuff on your phone, things that just lure you into complacency where you're not chasing things like I did when I was 20 years old, when I was 30 years old, building my business. You lose some of that passion for life. And just because you're old doesn't mean you're done. And that's one of the things I'm happy about is the snow globe of my life. They said it was all settled, but it was stagnant. It wasn't moving. It was still. Life should move. You should be pursuing, progressing. And when everything gets stagnant and still that's not a good existence. It's not good. I didn't realize it that I was living that way, but it sneaks up on you. It doesn't happen overnight. It happens over a period of time. So that's one of the things I'm grateful for is now I live with a passion that's a lot different. And it doesn't matter how old you get, you can still do things, you can still have that passion like you did when you were younger. So I'm grateful for that. That's the snow globe getting shooken. It'll never be the same again.
Hmm.
And I'll never let that happen again. So now I'm aware of it.
Yeah.
James, this is why I believe like a triathlon or marathons or these different feats are so vital because they do exactly what we were just describing with the snow globe shaking around. Like it's just inevitable that we're all going to sort of get complacent over time. And I
Yeah.
think having those goals, those audacious, big, hairy, scary goals, they're just essential. They're essential to always shake that up, right? And that's exactly what they do.
Yeah, I'd say it's human nature. Again, we seek the easy way, the path more traveled, not the path less traveled. You want to take the path less traveled. It's hard to turn uphill, walk through the thickets when there's a beaten path downhill.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's almost like it's our default setting, right? It's our
yeah,
default setting. Like, well, and it's like it's simple. Okay, well, I could climb up 30 flights of stairs to get to the 30th floor, or I could just take the elevator.
yeah,
Why wouldn't I just take the elevator? It's the easier way to go.
yeah,
Naturally, we want the the simplest, most comfortable way.
yeah. And it goes back to genetics to thousands of years or whatever. So, but our society today, I think, really lulls people into that complacency because it's just so easy to be complacent, I've never seen so many overweight kids in my life. When we were kids, we ate everything. We ate pizza. Nobody was on a diet. Nobody had a peanut allergy, and nobody was fat except for maybe one kid that had a thyroid problem and they had a legit medical
Yeah.
issue.
Hmm.
But there were no fat kids. Now they're all, well, you see the fat kids, and then you see the parents are like, okay, now I get it.
Hmm.
So to me, it's a little sad. That's probably what I'll do when I transition after the race, is try to see if I can counsel some of these young men to be a little more manly.
Hmm. To strive for a higher purpose.
I think it's happening a little bit in a sense. Starting to see a little bit more of it, but I think they're kind of lost. I see a lost generation is what I see. Just aimless.
Well, and the biggest problem is that our life isn't getting any harder. It's just keeps on
Yeah,
getting easier. Comfort is just everywhere.
yeah,
So we have to choose. We have to be aware enough to choose the hard thing. We have to push ourselves to want the challenge for the growth, right?
yeah. And it's hard to convince somebody that
Of course.
walking into a buzzsaw is going to be good for you. Trust me,
Yeah.
you're going to love it.
Yeah.
But yeah, say like you can still eat pizza, you just can't do it every night. And trust me, when
Yeah.
you work hard and you're doing your fitness thing, when you finally do have that slice of pizza and a beer, whatever, it's going to taste really good.
Because you deserved it, because you earned it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
You can visit the comfort room, but you can't set up furniture there. We've said that a
No,
couple
you can't
times.
stay
Yeah.
there. Yeah, yeah,
It can't be a lifestyle. And
yeah,
going back to like the hardships of the previous years and stuff too, like decades ago, grandpa and the six sons used to go out and raise a
yeah.
barn.
Oh
They
yeah.
used to go cut down hay in the field.
They walked
Stuff.
everywhere too. I'm from the
Yeah.
Northeast, New Jersey. People didn't have cars. You walked. I mean, when we grew up, my mom, we went on a bus. We go do the laundry. She grabbed the laundry. We didn't even wash or dryer. So me and my little brothers and sisters, we'd all get on the bus, go to the laundromat. That was the day. Then you go back home. We walked to school every day till I was, almost in, high school. I walked to school every day. That's not happening anymore. First of all, I'm in Georgia. They don't even have any sidewalks. You can't walk anywhere. It's worth your life. Yeah, no sidewalks. Real smart.
Yeah. And that's something that we've lost, and it's now up to us to kind of press the challenges onto ourselves and find something worth striving for.
What we do is a little more extreme, a little more difficult. And I tell people all the time, you don't have to be an Ironman. If you went for a 30-minute walk 3 times a week and you did that for a year, you'd see significant changes in your life. Little things can have a major impact over a long period of time. The other one that I tell people is like, I don't have time for the gym. You don't need a gym. I'll give you a simple workout that anyone can do. 10 push-ups takes about a minute to do. If you can find 10 minutes throughout the day, not all at once, 1 minute, 10 times throughout the day, and you do 10 push-ups, you have 100 push-ups a day. If you do that 300 days out of the year, that's 30,000 push-ups. I promise you, your body will never be the same. That's 10 minutes a day, 1 minute at a time. I don't care where you are, where you work, what you do. You can drop and give me 10 in a minute, here, there, wherever throughout the day, and that'd be a simple 10-minute a day deal. Anyone could do that. And if you do 100 push-ups a day, your physique will never be the same.
Yeah, it's about starting small, making that habit attainable.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can get a great workout at home just using, just doing sit-ups, pull-ups, push-ups.
If you're intentional about it, it doesn't take much.
Well, that would be the other side of technology, by the way, is like bitching about all the screen time or whatever. What if you had there's so many apps now for training programs. So you can plug into any number of different things that you might like, yoga or whatever, again, whatever your passion is, whatever works for you.
The space you have and what you can afford, yeah, it's totally possible.
Yeah, it's pretty simple. You got to move more, eat less, and you'll see some progress.
So, James, what would you say to the man listening who knows he's capable of more, but keeps putting it off until someday?
Someday you may not get someday. It may not come. I mean, tomorrow may not come. I would say you start small. Start with something small. If you commit to, like I said, commit to 10 minutes a day. Start with something easy that's achievable, and then movement gets momentum. And I've seen it before, and I'm sure you guys have seen it. People struggle to get started. Starting's the hardest part, but once they see progress, especially for women, once they drop a few dress sizes and they see then now they're in. Now they're seeking it as opposed to avoiding it. So I think for a lot of people who are on the couch or on the sideline waiting to jump in, it's starting is the hardest. First day is the hardest, and the first week is the hardest. But once you get a week behind you, now you're on week 2. If you can get through the first month, then you'll start to see results And at first you're just building the habit, and that's part of the discipline. Is I don't if you do 15 minutes a day, I don't care what you do, just commit 15 minutes a day to stretching, throwing some dumbbells around, whatever, and then do that every day, and then you build on that. My experience has been that when people commit to doing 15 minutes of something, more often than not, by the time 15 minutes hits, they're feeling so good they go a little further. They go
Hmm.
30 minutes
Yeah.
because you feel good. I've never walked out of a workout that I didn't want to do and said I wished I didn't do that.
Hmm.
I've had workouts before. I was like, man, I really don't want to do this. And then you go do it, and afterwards you're like, why didn't I want to do that? That was great.
Almost
Yeah.
every single time, right? Like those ones where you really don't wanna go,
Yeah,
almost
yeah.
every single time, it's one of the best ones.
Yeah, yeah. So you always have to remind yourself is like, you're not going to feel this way in an hour or two. You're going to feel completely different. So just get in there and shut the hell up.
And the inverse of that too is I've had days where I didn't do the workout and then I regretted it for the next week. I knew I had the energy. I knew I had the momentum, the time, and I still botched it. I didn't go.
That's the other thing. Well, if you reach that point, like we're probably all at that point where if you're on a program and you have a set schedule and you miss a workout, the guilt is awful. So it's not even a matter of, not wanting to do it, is I have to do it. I literally have to do it. Otherwise the anguish and the anxiety is just too much. But, I'm on a regular triathlon training program, so it's usually 7 to 10 training sessions a week. It's usually 3 swims, 3 bikes, 3 runs, something like that. And sometimes you're just too tired. Like yesterday, I was just biggest problem I'm having with cancer is fatigue and recovery. So I can do a long workout, but I can't recover the way I used to. So I can't do them back to back to back. So I need more days off than previously. So like yesterday, I couldn't do anything. I literally went to bed at 4 o'clock, got a great night's sleep, woke up feeling great today, had a great run. Now I'm going to go do a swim after this. And then I've got a long weekend ahead. So we'll see what happens, but I'm enjoying it. That's the best part. I'm happy I'm able to do it. I'm happy I'm able to do it without my intestines flopping out.
Yeah.
What a joy that has been.
Yeah. It's the little things.
Yeah.
When your son looks back on this chapter of your life, what do you hope he remembers most?
How I face difficulties with optimism and a solution-oriented mindset, and then of course with faith. And that's been really one of the people who've asked me why I'm doing what I'm doing, and it's never far from my mind. First and foremost is my son's watching, and I've spent 21 years teaching him how to live. The last thing I'll do is teach him how to die. And I'm happy to have that opportunity because I wouldn't want it to be the other way around. No parent should have to bury a child. And the last lesson you'll ever teach him is how to die with some dignity and how to live the right way until that day. And I hope that's what he pulls out of it. He thinks I'm made of something. He doesn't think I'm ever going to die, so he thinks I'm Superman. His friends think I'm just, a Marvel superhero or something. So far, I will say, of all that I've been through, cancer hasn't really reared its totally ugly head yet. I have not been prevented from doing the things that I like to do, other than the blood clots on my neck, which knocked me down for about 4 weeks. Other than that, I've been able to train through the whole thing. So that's been good. So
Very glad to hear that. So perfectly summarized too. And it makes me think about my three sons. They were a key component in me trying to turn my life around about a year and 3 months ago-ish. And I'm no longer living for myself. It's the example that I'm setting. And
yeah,
you still find ways to fumble the ball, don't get me wrong, but the vision and the movement towards that is a lot different now. And I'm trying to be a lot better. And I think it's been an admirable goal.
yeah. I think they watch what you do more than what you say,
Hmm.
uh, and they're going to emulate that. So. Yeah, it's the greatest responsibility that you have, and it's a difficult job being a father. I don't think anyone gets it 100% right, because your sons are individuals as well. One of the most difficult things is to take your fatherly knowledge and impart it on your young sons. Like my son used to say things to me. He's older now, but when he was in high school, he'd say, "Dad, you don't understand what it's like to be a teenager." I was like, "What do you think? I was born at 60?
Yeah.
You think I just skipped over?" He goes, "Yeah, things were different back then." I was like, "Well, things change, but human nature never does." That's why people like Shakespeare and some of those themes are still relevant today, because jealousy and greed and envy and all these things that are innate in humans, they don't change.
Hmm.
Human nature doesn't change. Times change, technology changes, but human nature remains the same. And that's why the issues that teenagers deal with now aren't that much different than what we dealt with, other than social media, which is I can't even imagine growing up with social media. There's no recordings or videos of anything we did in the 70s and 80s, and that's probably good.
Yeah, thank God for that.
It wouldn't be good for the resume. It's funny now these kids you go for a job interview and they pull up your Facebook. It's like, is this you? It's like, yeah,
Yeah.
you're not working here. Sorry. Yeah, that stuff's forever, man.
No, James, you're such an inspiration. It's been so great to hear your story, and I'm gonna keep tabs on you and find out how you're doing with your races coming up.
Yeah, follow me on Instagram. It's stage 4 2025, the number 4 2025. And I post all the time, and that's where I'll get all the updates for the race. And I'd love to come back after the race and share the experience.
Good.
We'd love that
I
too.
like your mindset there.
Yeah, the book's on Amazon. Just keep trying TRI-ING, little play on words for triathlon. It did pretty good for a while there. Even when something's good, you still got to get out there and sell it. So we're doing good right now. Like I said, all the profits go to the Ironman Foundation, which is a 501c3 nonprofit. So they're a great organization as well. So, and people seem to be enjoying the book. I tried to keep it simple, and it's fairly short, so it's not like Gone with the Wind or something. But it seems like everybody's getting something out of it. Extreme athlete or triathlete or to really benefit or learn something from the book. So thank you guys so much, Dean and Justin, for having me on the show. It's been fantastic. Thank you.
Yeah, this was a truly inspiring day. I'm so thankful that we got to have you on the show. James, it was an absolute pleasure today. Your story is proof that strength isn't built when life is easy. It's built when life gets hard and you refuse to quit. Cancer tried to take your body, but it couldn't take your purpose, your faith, or your spirit. Thank you for joining us today again. And to everyone listening, you don't need a diagnosis to start living. You don't need tragedy to wake you up. You don't need perfect circumstances to take the next step. Just keep moving. Just keep growing. Just keep trying. We'll see you in the next episode. Titans out. Well, that's it for this episode of Titans for Life. If you got value today, make sure you subscribe, leave a review, and share this with another Titan who needs to hear it. You can follow us on Facebook at Titans for Life. That's Titans, the number 4, life, or on Instagram at Titans_4_life_online, all lowercase. And if you want to rep the movement, support the show, or grab some Titan gear or supplements, check out our links in the show notes. Our Shopify store is now up. Until next time, always remember, the grind is the gold.